Now I turn the floor to Ms. Yifei Wang, or Ariel Wang, Director of Investor Relations of Mobvista. Ariel, please unmute your microphone and start video. Hi everyone, I'm Ariel, Director of Investor Relations of Mobvista. First of all, I would like to thank Essence International for their invitation and this opportunity to communicate with you all today. I would also like to thank Zhixin Cloud for their support and arrangement. Last but not least, I would like to thank our investors and potential investors for their attention and trust. Now let me give you a brief overview of our company. First, a business review of our company. Mobvista was listed on the main board of the Hong Kong Stock Exchange on December 12, 2018. It focuses on boosting user growth of app developers and providing all-in-one tech solutions. We currently have two product lines, a mobile advertising platform and a data analytics platform. Our mobile advertising platform focuses on performance advertising, connecting mobile app advertising and global mobile app media in order to gain advertising revenue. Our stats platform, Game Analytics, helps game publishers study gamer behavior to improve their games and minimize cost of boosting gamer population. Right now, it is a free SaaS platform. Meanwhile, in early 2020, we launched Benchmark Plus, a SaaS platform in the form of pay-to-use subscription. Next, I would like to touch upon our global footprints. Our company has 18 offices around the globe, covering major, developed, and developing markets. We have 777 employees, and more than half of them are in our R&D teams. Next, I would like to talk a little bit about our clients. Back in our early days in 2013, we focused on the overseas user growth of Chinese app developers. By 2014, our company set up the first local office in India. Today, we provide services in over 60 countries and to over 3,000 active app developers. Now, more than half of our revenue comes from overseas user growth of Chinese mobile app publishers. In 2019, our company set up a local office in Sao Paulo, Brazil, to better operate in the European and American markets. Today, our American and EMEA publishers have become our fastest growing clients, contributing to nearly 30% of revenue. As to the Asia-Pacific region, represented by developing markets in East and Southeast Asia, even though their mobile network is developing quickly, it's still at the early stage of commercialization, which is why in 2019, less than 20% of revenue came from these markets. In terms of types, games were our fastest growing area in 2019, followed by social media, e-commerce, and service apps. It is worth noting that despite the uncertainty in the global economy in 2020 because of COVID-19, there has not been any significant impact on the advertising expense for users' growth purposes by mobile app developers we serve, especially online entertainment products represented by games. In light of this, we expect games to remain an important engine for our business growth. Next, I would like to move on to the business model of our company. Our mobile advertising platform connects advertisers and publishers of mobile apps. That is, we connect advertisers on the demand end and publishers on the supply end of the chain. For example, on the one hand, a news app might purchase traffic through us to expand its business and becomes our client. As this traffic grows, it would want to monetize this traffic through our platform. Then our platform would purchase this ad space to help with its monetization, and it would become our supplier. Of course, this chain is not uncommon in the internet industry. Take casual games, for example. Casual games are an example of the same clients of app publishers playing different roles in the different situations of user growth and traffic monetization. In 2019, we began a deep two-way cooperation with Western publishers of casual games, including Voodoo, a top game company in France. Now back to platforms. Our connection takes the form of two advertising payment models, programmatic and non-programmatic. In the early days of our company's development, we focused on a non-programmatic one. This is a low-frequency payment model whose optimization is mainly led by an operations team. Under this approach, payments for both advertisers and publishers were determined by CPI, or cost per install. This is a fairly simple performance advertising. It relies entirely on the number of installs resulting from ad exposure. In 2015, we expanded to the programmatic model, which was high frequency and machine and computation centered. We still charge advertisers using the CPI matrix, but we measure payments to publishers with CPM. The calculation requires real-time estimates of conversion rates from display to install during advertising payment to control the gross profit of the website. This is why we have been stressing that we're an advertising tech company, not an advertising agency in a traditional sense. For one thing, the growth of our business is not driven by enlarging the scale of our operations team, but the effective services sale of SaaS. The tech-driven increase in the efficiency of ad distribution is the core engine of the growth of our business scale. For another, our revenue mainly comes from the number of users our advertiser clients win with our help. The costs mainly go to ad exposure and servers. Without a good model or a stable cloud platform, there would be no room for gross profit, or there would be even a deficit. That's why technology is the key to our core competencies. Next, I would like to talk about our business layout. Right now, programmatic advertising is the core engine that drives our business. This curve here shows the change in the percentage of revenue generated from programmatic advertising in the past 5 years. In 2018, this number exceeded 50% for the first time, and in 2019, it soared to over 60%. Over the past 4 years, the CAGR of programmatic revenue was 128.8%. Next, I would like to talk about our position in the global power ranking. In September 2019, Mintegro, our programmatic interactive platform, was ranked 13 for the first time in the global power ranking published by AppsFlyer. AppsFlyer is the third-party detector of mobile advertising effectiveness based in Israel. On March 31st, Mintegro rose to number 6 in the latest global power ranking released by AppsFlyer. Also know that number 12 is TikTok Ads, owned by ByteDance. As a top player in the global market share, AppsFlyer releases 2 power rankings every year. Judging from the change in the 2 rankings in 2019, if we ignore first-party advertising platforms represented by Google and Facebook and compare third-party advertising platforms, including ironSource, AppLovin, Unity Ads, and our company, we can see that our company had a relatively big rise in the ranking from 13 to number 6. Apple, Twitter, and Snapchat were actually ranked lower than us. Mintegro is also the only Chinese and Asian platform among the top 10 in this ranking. ByteDance was ranked 15 in the first half of 2019 and rose to number 12 in the second half of the same year. Next, I would like to talk about integration. In a whole programmatic advertising chain, there's an important part that is mediation, or advertising integration platform. This platform is a tool for optimal management of ads, which can bring more gains and high-efficiency ad management models for developers of ads and traffic. Such platform usually connects 15 to 20 third-party advertising platforms. When an app sends a request, the request is sent to advertising platforms through this integration platform, which helps to decide which advertising platform each request of each advertising site comes from in order to maximize traffic-related profit. Our fast increase in the transaction values in the programmatic platforms in 2019 was also attributed to our cooperation with famous Chinese and overseas advertising integration platforms in 2019. From this graph, we can see that in the first half of 2019, around June, we were integrated with AppLovin Max, and then in the second half, ironSource, Mobvista, Fiber, and Tapjoy. ironSource is the Israeli equivalent of Baidu, and Mobvista is an advertising integration platform with Twitter. If we look at Mintegro's positions in the 2 rankings, the number of app publisher partners and DAU of the platform together, we can see that it grew from the 6,900 apps and 340 million DAU by the end of 2018 to 11,000 apps and 380 million DAU in June 2019 to 26,000 apps and 500 million DAU by the end of 2019. Their growth in the second half of 2019 was 3.7 times the size of the first half. If you take into consideration the timeline of our cooperation with overseas integration platforms, you notice that Integral's partnership with the platforms of ironSource in June 2019 was a major turning point. In early 2020, Integral also started partnering with Twitter's integration platform Mobvista. Now let's take a brief look at our incentive plan. This is an incentive plan for developers. We started this incentive plan in 2018 for the purpose of partnering with good traffic to further boost the flywheel of our business growth. As Integral accelerates its app publisher integration, our partnership with good publishers has drastically changed from we paying them for integration to they initiating it. The incentive for good publishers is decreasing as our transaction values increase. Our fiscal data suggests that the cost of the incentive are diminishing between a peak in 2018 and the second half of 2019. We expect that in 2020, this number is going to become even smaller. Next, let's take a brief look at our analytics platform. This free SaaS has served over 100,000 games by over 70,000 game developers globally. This platform has been tracking over 1.2 billion monthly active gamers. This platform is still a primarily free analytics tool so far. We'll continue to invest in this platform to improve it, to strengthen our cooperative relationship with our partners. As game analytics or GA is an important part of our digital assets and long-term strategy, we're not planning on adopting any radical strategy for it in the near future. In the last section of this part, I would like to talk about the flywheel of our business growth. This flywheel mainly comprises two product lines, advertising and data analytics. If we begin with publishers, more publishers means more traffic, which means more advertisers and more ad spending, which in turn further attracts more publishers. The next part is an overview of our strategy. As Mr. Wang from Essence International said earlier, performance advertising is an area with a relatively high degree of certainty. Compared to brand advertising, we believe that in such an uncertain global economic environment, performance-based advertising, especially online advertisers such as games, e-commerce, social media apps, creates more certainty for growth. Their performance advertising budget for user growth is positively correlated with the growth of global mobile network market. Therefore, whichever payment method we use, our company is always focused on performance advertising. We always pay close attention to their ROI and optimize every dollar of advertising spending. In case you wonder what impact this pandemic has on the market, I would like to quote AppsFlyer's latest report from late March, that as of March 15, AppsFlyer had not seen any significant change in the total number of non-organic installs on a global and aggregated level in comparisons to previous years, neither for gaming nor for non-gaming advertisers. In other words, although brand advertising spending has dropped, performance-based advertising has not been affected. Quite on the contrary, our data have shown that the number of non-organic installs of gaming apps is on the rise. Next, I would like to talk about where our company is in the market. The first keyword is China to global. We aim to help Chinese app developers expand their overseas market. Of course, that also reflects the current trend of the industry, that is the robust China to global advertising demand. As online content, especially games, comes under more intense scrutiny in China, the surplus of online content will further go overseas. We expect going global to be a long-lasting trend. This trend will also give us an advantage over our Western competitors. Where do we place ourselves in the market? We'll stick to our unique positioning, which is to bridge users and content in the East and the West. That is a big difference between us and a lot of other IT platforms is that we help Chinese app developers expand their overseas market and help overseas developers expand their Chinese market. We also help them expand their markets in other countries. But what we don't do is to help Chinese app developers expand their Chinese market because that doesn't fit our market position. Why are we a technology platform then? That definition is based on our R&D and investment in technology. As the needs for personalized matching of content and users increase, we rely more on artificial intelligence, and thus we need more powerful and flexible computation framework to support real-time online service. So our company hired Dr. Yadong Zhu or Ramon Zhu, who used to be a senior data scientist in Alibaba Group and the leader of their e-commerce personalized recommendation team. Now he's in charge of the development of our whole computation framework. Today we're matching over 100,000 advertising offers and over 500 million DAU. We need to optimize all 5 dimensions, namely ad unit, template, audience, offer, and creativeness in less than 0.1 second in order to estimate our revenue in real time. Another person I would like to introduce is Mr. Chao Cai, our chief architect. Our needs in big data processing and computation requires a large-scale server complex to handle advertising requests that could peak at 100 billion times daily, which in turn requires a large amount of cloud computing resources and might create a lot of pressure from a huge amount of cost of servers. So we hired Mr. Chao Cai, former chief architect at Amazon China and HP China, to lead an engineering team for the development of an elastic cluster management system. The effect of this move is manifest in the fact that the cost of our servers dropped from 8.5% of our programmatic revenue in 2017 to 4.2% in 2019, a substantial improvement of the efficiency of our cloud computing resources. Of course, our company is still one of China's biggest cloud computing-based suppliers of online app services. Next, I would like to talk about our central technology platform, another trendy term in today's market. This term was put forward by Daniel Zhang, CEO of Alibaba Group, as early as 2015. Our central technology platform actually consists of several technology platforms. We have a top engineer team to commoditize these technology platforms, including Mind Alpha, Engine Plus, SpotMax, and DataShory. In 2019, we built strategic partnership between SpotMax and Alibaba Cloud on elastic cloud computing. Engine Plus, our big data computing engine, also joined AWS SaaS Factory program of Amazon and now is available at its app markets. Engine Plus has become a good partner in the network. In the last section of this part, I would like to talk about our long-term strategy, as our investors might be interested. If we draw a curve based on the number and size of app developers, it naturally goes that as the size of app developers grows, the corresponding number of developers drops, reflecting the Pareto principle, the 80-20 rule. However, as the size of app developers grows, different life cycles have different needs. For example, a new product may require statistical analysis of user behavior. The stats analytic tools are then the first tools it uses. After accumulating a certain number of users, it would have to consider, are the things such as monetization, A/B test, user acquisition, as well as creativity, among other things along the way. As they know more about their users, some developers start to build digital platforms to break the boundary between user data and user growth, replacing men with tools to do the job of optimization in order to automatize marketing. Therefore, as the number of users grows, online cost optimization will become a problem for app developers. Different tools are needed to meet these different needs at different stages. If we connect these points with a curve that is based on size and number of app developers, this curve reflects our long-term strategy. We seek to build a tooling ecosystem where small and medium-sized app developers have access to highly effective tools at early stages to lower the threshold of use and boost efficiency of their growth, so that there will be more players at different points along the x-axis. By doing that, we'll raise the lower limit of this curve and thus enlarge the market. Given this ecosystem will become a more diverse corporate-level technology service platform. The next part of my talk today is a financial review of our company. Our revenue grew by 15% from 2018 to 2019. Our revenue in 2019 was 500 million US dollars, or 3.5 billion Chinese yuan. The revenue from our major strategic platform, programmatic revenue, increased from 230 million to 320 million US dollars, a growth rate of 40.8%. Our adjusted EBITDA also grew from 43 million to 51.6 million US dollars, growing by nearly 20%. Let me go a little further on our programmatic revenue. In the past 4 years, our programmatic revenue had maintained a high increase rate, whereas our non-programmatic revenue was shrinking due to our strategic adjustment of business, such that we tended to recommend our programmatic traffic, which is of better quality and higher efficiency to our clients. The non-programmatic revenue of 2019 dropped by 13.1% compared to 2018, which is why our revenue increased by only 15.1% that year. Our revenue sources are diverse and generally well-balanced. Here are our revenue percentages from our top 5 clients. In 2018, our revenue from our top 5 clients was as high as nearly 35%, but in 2019, this number was back to 17%. This relatively large percentage in 2018 came from some special big clients, but in general, our revenue sources are well balanced, and we're not relying on any single client. Regionally, our revenue sources are also diverse. In terms of geography of our clients, our revenue from clients in the Greater China region decreased from 64% in 2018 to 58% in 2019. Meanwhile, our revenue from American and EMEA clients grew to nearly 30%. We'll further expand our market and launch further strategies against our competitors in the America and EMEA regions. By app categories, our gaming app revenue grew from 27% in 2018 to 41% in 2019. Gaming apps maintain the greatest momentum. Content and social media apps, on the other hand, as big advertisers such as ByteDance adjusted their budget for their overseas market in 2019, exhibited a decrease of revenue to 20%. These 3 graphs together indicate that in the performance advertising market, with its payment model, there is always enough budget for good traffic. When the budget or offer of an advertiser shrinks, the traffic will quickly go to another advertiser with a higher offer. This overall change in revenue proportions also reflects the change in regional and hot category revenues in a globalized mobile market. Next, I would like to report to you about our profits. I'll begin with our gross and net profits. From 2018 to 2019, our gross profit grew by 21.6% to nearly $120 million US dollars. After being adjusted for ESOP, our net income had a growth rate of 16%, arriving at about $41 million US dollars. The major reason why our net profit growth was smaller than gross profit growth was that we adopted conservative policies as a provision for bad debts against the impact of the pandemic. And we set aside a high percentage of a provision for bad debts for our receivables. As a result, in 2019, our bad debts reserve was $10 million US dollars more compared to 2018. Next, I'll go over our expenses, especially our R&D expenses. Our overall R&D expenses are growing rapidly, which embodies our strategy for R&D-driven growth. We'll maintain this pace and continue to invest more in R&D. Meanwhile, our S&M expenses exhibit a relatively flat growing curve of percentages of revenue, which is consistent with what I said earlier, that unlike advertising agencies in the traditional sense, our growth is not driven by enlarging our operations teams. What about ESOP adjusted EBITDA then? As we switched from non-programmatic to programmatic to gain advantage over our Western competitors, we increased investment in R&D to maximize the efficiency of our programmatic platform, which led to a relatively low ESOP adjusted EBITDA. Of course, these investments are going to benefit our future development as shareholders and our company grow together. Finally, I would like to highlight some of the major points of this talk. First, Mintegro, owned by Mobvista, and TikTok Ads, owned by ByteDance, are the only two Chinese companies on AppsFlyer's global power ranking. Right now, our company is ranked higher and is the only Chinese and Asian company within top 10. Also, in 2019, we witnessed programmatic advertising, our core engine, accelerated and drove the flywheel of our business growth. Further, compared with our Western competitors, we profit more from the China to global trend. In addition, our central tech platform is growing and improving our infrastructure efficiency, which enables us to maintain a sustainable tooling ecosystem. And finally, ever since the foundation of our company, it has maintained a high profitability. That's all of my talk today.